The latest episodes of The Last Dance, the Michael Jordan documentary, chronicles Jordan's habits or issues with gambling. I'm Sierra Goodwill, here with Jimmy Toscano and Josue Pavon. If you ask MJ, he does not have a gambling addiction, but some of his habits or patterns were a little bit concerning throughout the 90s during his time with the Bulls. Do you think that after what you saw in The Last Dance, that he has a gambling addiction or had, and has it tarnished his reputation at all?
I don't think he does. And I'm not just saying that because it's Michael Jordan, but I mean, of course, he was kind of exaggerating when he said, look, if I had a gambling problem, I'd be pawning off my cars and selling my championship ring. Obviously, he's exaggerating a bit there. I don't think he'd go that far. But I do think he'd be in a bit more financial trouble. I just don't think, and look, I'm not speaking from experience, but I would imagine that that's something that's not easy to get rid of, that kind of addiction, especially when you have so much money and so much ways that you can spend it. And I also don't think that I don't think Jordan's that good or that lucky when he's gambling that he hasn't lost a significant amount of money. Or, we would have heard stories that, oh, Jordan's gone bankrupt or he's going through this and that. So I don't think he had a problem, but I do think that it's a very, very tricky situation looking at it from back then through these lenses, through 2020, because this would be, and I'm sure Jimmy can agree with me on this one, this would have been handled completely differently if this was, I don't know, LeBron James or Kevin Durant, and talks about them throwing thousands of dollars around and gambling on the bus and with teammates and stuff. That'd be a big no-no nowadays. But back then, I'm not surprised that it wasn't a big deal, and I also don't think that Michael Jordan had an issue.
Michael Jordan, I mean, I think it was Charles Barkley who said, it's only a problem if you can't afford it. Now, looking at Michael Jordan, I'm pretty sure
that's a good point. That's a good way to put it.
For himself. Speaking from somebody who's lost a good amount of money gambling, I don't think he has a problem. Okay, first of all. Second of all, I see what you're saying, Josue, but at the same time, Michael Jordan's going to the blackjack table and spending whatever he spends on it. What are NBA players or any sport, what are those athletes doing today? They're going to the club or they're going somewhere else and they're just spending their money in different ways. They're still out late. They're still doing their thing. And, it's certainly not a secret. I mean, you can go on any website and you can see Instagram now. You can see the things they're buying, cars, mansions, things like that. Why does it matter how he spends his money? He's never been considered. It's never been said that he was gambling on basketball. He's not Pete Rose here. So I don't really think that it shouldn't really be that big of an issue. So to me, my issue is that he went to play baseball. That's what he should be criticized for, not for gambling.
The one situation that sticks out to me was after a playoff loss, going to Atlantic City and spending the night at a casino until the wee hours of the morning in the middle of a playoff series.
Sierra, that's family time. That's what that was. Him and the Pops.
Mind off of the loss. To me, if that happened, like you were saying, Josue, if that happened today, if LeBron or even Kemba Walker or Jason Tatum, who are going to make this self-defeated, went to the casino after a playoff loss when they play a game the next day, that wouldn't fly.
No, it wouldn't.
It didn't fly then though either. I mean, he got heat for it. The media was all talking about it, and he kind of just silenced. He didn't really want to talk about it, and then he went out there and dropped 45 or whatever it was. And so I still think it was an issue back then to an extent, but there just weren't as many means to express that. There wasn't Twitter. Obviously, I'm not going to go through all the mediums, but there was a way for him to sort of get away from it. Yeah, I mean, and also I think he said he was home by midnight, and the reports were he was out till 2. So a bit of he said, she said there. Obviously, it's poor optics, but when you come at it from his perspective, where he was just trying to get away, doing something that takes his mind off of things for a bit with his family, I mean, I guess you could be doing a lot worse.
I mean, in other words, he backed it up, right, Jimmy? He backed it up.
Exactly.
Like, he went out there and went 1 for 20 and, finished with 5 points. And we would be hearing about this. We would have been hearing about it years ago. Like, it would have been like, the fall of Michael Jordan or one of the pitfalls of where he could have carried his team to another championship, but he decided to go out. And they would boil it down to that one night saying, that's the reason they lost. But yeah, I mean, that's really what it comes down to at the end of the day. I mean, he always backs it up. And I thought it was really cool, really unique. And his basketball deal, when he talked about how his rookie season for him to ink such a lucrative offer, and he said, look, if I was averaging 4 points and 5 rebounds, I wouldn't even sign that contract. I would never have them waste my time. I wouldn't embarrass myself like that. I put myself on this pedestal. I put that pressure on myself, and I'm going to make sure I reach these goals to prove to everyone that I can do it. That's just pretty much been Michael Jordan in a nutshell. And at that point of his career, as a seasoned veteran, towards the end, I mean, am I surprised he went to Atlantic City with his dad because he wanted to? How did he put it, Jimmy? What was it? Clear his head a little bit.
Yeah,
go ahead, Mike, but you better be sure you back it up the next day. And that's exactly why he got the permission from Phil Jackson, or maybe the Bulls didn't necessarily give him the permission, but they weren't necessarily crying about it when he went out and dropped 45.
Yeah, they
even forgive
Phil Jackson let Dennis Rodman like go away for a week in the middle of the season.
In the middle of the season.
Yeah.
Well, that's why these guys were so complimentary towards Phil Jackson, because they said they were so understanding of their need to get away from the game sometimes. So that's really an interesting point that was brought up in the most recent episodes of The Last Dance. But for all of our NBA coverage, head to our website at clnsmedia.com and subscribe to our YouTube channels at Celtics All Access and CLNS Media.